what's happening right now in the U.S. They knew they would be creating events exactly like what's happening right now in the U.S. Winter Storm Fern, that they will blame ultimately as a result of global warming, when in fact 100% localized nucleation operations. But because they use the climate change term, people accept that as, oh, that's just a problem. It's engineered.
So the Davos WEF Forum in Davos 2026 is happening. It happened this week. And James O'Keefe went undercover and he got them to admit all the stuff that was called a conspiracy theory about people talking about chemtrails and the pollution that governments and private people are putting into the atmosphere under the guise of fighting climate change. Okay. World Economic Forum elites openly admit that chemicals are being sprayed into the atmosphere to cool the planet and even onto the food supply. One insider admits most of these operations are handled by the military, carried out quietly and behind closed doors. James O'Keefe went undercover at the World Economic Forum Davos 2026, capturing officials on camera admitting to what's long been dismissed as a conspiracy theory. So let's watch a little bit of this.
So we invest in these technologies to assist with the warming climate, and the effect of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere will help block some of the warming.
So James O'Keefe is posing as a guy who runs a company who's going to be doing these chemtrail stuffs and cloud seeding and things of that nature. So he's presenting himself as one of them undercover, and watch what he gets them to admit.
And the particles stay in the air for 1 year. So, and actually we're speaking to some of the airplane manufacturers and to see if they can emit some of our technology into the atmosphere to help with the global warming. That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, climate. I mean, we don't like to use the term climate engineering. It scares people. So we prefer.
But for me, being an engineer, I think that's actually what you do. It's like,
yes.
You can have financial engineering, you can have, I'm sure, climate engineering, because it involves something that's more scientific.
Yes, exactly. You're an engineer, you understand. It's from Sweden, right? Yeah. So we don't like to call them chemtrails. We don't like to use this.
So what do you call it instead?
Well, we call it aerosol injection. Aerosol. It's kind of like little droplets.
Okay.
And the droplets form in the air, and they stay there for a year.
Yeah.
It's modeled kind of a mini volcanic eruption, actually.
Yeah. I mean, aviation fuels have some sulfur in them, so it creates some sulfur dioxide emissions naturally, and that does have a...
So this is a guy's name is Kennedy Ritchie. He's the president and CEO at 4Air, and so it creates some sulfur dioxide emissions naturally, and that does have a cooling effect.
Now, this guy, Kennedy Ritchie, who runs a company called 4Air, spoke on stage, and he says on his website that he wants to, quote, decarbonize the aviation industry. He actually told me he was trying to eliminate contrails entirely, but then brought up cloud seeding.
A lot of them work in the military, so they do this all the time.
Whoa!
Have you worked with them at all?
No, because they're a little more closed door about their procedures.
You ever heard of sulfur dioxide?
Yeah.
You've heard of that? Okay. Yeah.
It's actually pretty cheap to do it. The ability to put sulfur dioxide there is actually a pretty cheap way to cool down the earth.
Oh, yeah.
So the opportunity for one or two people to do it is impressive. He went a little further. He's like, it'd be interesting if the government start doing this over each other's territories on purpose. Like if we start getting weather modification as a government, either good or bad.
Yeah.
The closest one I'm aware of is someone called Airborne Snow Observatory. They do some more like weather, I don't want to say modification, but more like upper atmosphere weather monitoring is probably a better term.
Yeah. Now, according to the website Airborne, this is what this guy Ritchie brings up, measures snow depth, snow water equivalence, provides highly accurate snowpack data, is a commercial spin-off of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory snow monitoring technology used to help water managers and scientists.
So let me bring in our expert guest on this. Dane Whittington's here. He's a lead researcher and administrator for the website geoengineeringwatch.org. He's the executive producer of the groundbreaking climate engineering documentary called The Dimming, which is available on YouTube, has over 27 million views so far. He's a background in solar energy and has devoted the last 20 years of his life to researching covert global climate engineering operations and in an effort to expose them all and halt them. Welcome back to the show, Dane.
Thanks for having me back, Jimmy, and thanks for your continued attention toward the skies, because very, very few people yet have any understanding of the gravity and immediacy of the threat that's posed by what's taking place there.
So what that guy just admitted to was that, yes, they're doing this. They're doing this cloud seeding, what people refer to as chemtrails, and it's he's admitted that it's the military that does most of it. Now, is that true? And how do you respond to hearing someone admit that?
Unfortunately, James was not able to get at anybody that's anywhere near the root of this issue. As I told you off air, I did speak to James about 14 days ago before he went to Davos. I tried to give him the best run I could as to what he might be looking for. And when individuals like the ones he spoke to allude to various cloud seeding programs, they're still not clarifying the separation between cloud seeding, localized, publicized cloud seeding operations, and climate engineering, two completely different animals. And the power structure will still continue to do everything it can to keep the climate engineering operations from coming to light, because the difference is a single engine propeller driven aircraft with cloud seeding might disperse 5 to 10 pounds of material in a single flight. KC-135 can dump 100 tons of toxic nanoparticles in a single flight. And that's what it takes to paint the whole sky filthy white. People have no idea how much material we're all breathing this on our food, water. It's everywhere, ubiquitous.
So like when you see something like this, what does that tell you?
That is climate engineering. That is not cloud seeding. And there's an effort by the power structure to blur the line between the two, because people don't feel threatened by a single engine propeller driven airplane with some flares on the wings. If they saw a KC-135 military 100 tons into the air, and they don't stay aloft for a year. I want to make that clear. We know from our work with the polymer chemists that some of the descent times, because they're only able to carry those heavy payloads into this troposphere, not the stratosphere. So the descent times are very, very rapid. That's why they're spraying so much. Descent times as low as 12 to 24 hours. So they're absolutely burying our skies in this filth, and we all get to breathe it.
Let me show you. Here's one more video, undercover video from James O'Keefe in Davos, where the WEF elites admit secrets about geoengineering, artificial rain, and they say BlackRock is behind all of it. Let's listen.
The ability to put sulfur dioxide up there is actually a pretty cheap way to cool down the earth.
Yeah, I was just at the one of the events, and I support the work you guys are doing. They said that BlackRock was behind all the climate stuff, so I really appreciate that.
Got BlackRock behind us.
We spoke to a lot of people, and I spoke to this one guy from Denmark, and it was remarkable because he said that they would think about doing artificial rain, and he works with DARPA.
We're looking at Vanguard technologies for creating our own platform.
Wow.
We're working with laser light comms from DARPA.
And are you familiar with this? How about SAI, stratospheric aerosol injections?
Oh, yeah.
Sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. So yeah, artificial rain, we work in that space, yes.
Wonderful.
So again, back to you, Dane. So he's saying there's another guy who's in this business saying he works directly with DARPA, which is the U.S. military. And so you're saying that the U.S. military is doing this. And, well, let me just show you one more. Tom Wren says, I've been talking for some time about the fact that much of the chemtrail spraying comes from the military and secret DOD contractors. That's why Zeldin, who's the current EPA administrator, doesn't have access to this info. That's why RFK can't stop it, and why you can't do a Freedom of Information Request Act on it. Biden declared climate change a matter of national security, so these programs could legally be hidden, shielded from public scrutiny, and funded beyond his presidency. I recognize this post is easy to dismiss since I can't provide public evidence. That's part of the Biden's point, but this is how it's being done. So what he's saying is that the reason why we can't get information on this is because it's being kept secret, because Biden deemed it an emergency, and so the military can keep it a secret that they're doing this. Am I reading that right?
Yes, it is absolutely a matter of national security. It's much more than just the U.S. military involved. You have militaries all over the country, all over the planet, involved, actively or passively. I'm glad Tom's getting more up to speed on this because I spoke to him about a year ago and the subject was relatively new to him. So I hope he continues to research on the issue. And I wish we were talking about sulfur dioxide here, Jimmy. We're talking about aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, polymer fibers, surfactants, graphene. This is a plethora of toxic materials. So the media pushes the sulfur dioxide part because it sounds benign and natural to people because that's what volcanoes emit. That's just a smokescreen for what they're really spraying. And right now, as they're waging winter weather warfare in the continental U.S. with Winter Storm Fern, and that's exactly what it is. That storm is engineered top to bottom, and the plethora of toxic elements being dumped into that record warm moisture out of the record warm Gulf of Mexico